Now, this episode, I'm going to answer your question: is Social Security enough for retirement? Now, that's a big question for a lot of people. I'm going to show you some alternative investments, but let's talk about Social Security while we're getting started. Now, it's been around for over 80 years, and it's worked for 80 years, and the politicians make a big flip-flop out of this. I mean, they say, oh, they're going to shut down the Social Security and they scare the heck out of all the seniors. Folks, they're not getting rid of Social Security. It's not going to happen. Okay, so along the way, most individuals have earned quite a bit of money. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people that have high-paying jobs, and they spend all the money. They go out every weekend. They buy everything from campers to extra cars to whatever it is they want. They live in fancy houses, but they don't take care of their retirement. So if you have a retirement plan and the government's already going to give you some money and you can add that to Social Security, it's probably going to help out. But most people don't get a retirement from a company now, and if they don't, then you need to start planning and thinking about this, because many of the pension plans are not going to fund your full retirement. So is Social Security enough for that retirement? Well, if you add the two together, it might work out. But most people aren't going to end up with enough money. So you might want to start thinking about how you're going to supplement that. All right, but the question really is that we're talking about, is Social Security enough money? Now, I have no idea what kind of benefits that you're going to receive. It's a percentage of what you earn. But I can tell you this, that you're paying 6% of whatever you earn into Social Security, and if you have an employer, they are adding another 6% to it. So 12% of what you're earning is going into the Social Security system. Now, that's a lot of money. Okay, matter of fact, it's in the area of $2 billion every single day going into Social Security. So is it going to be enough? Well, let's talk about it a little bit. Currently, the system is overloaded with seniors. Now, how does it get overloaded? Well, I'll tell you how. Right now, today, the Social Security system qualifies 10,000 applications of people that come into the Social Security system every single day. That's 50,000 people every single week. Now, who are those people? They're baby boomers. Those people who were born after 1946. Okay, so we had a huge bubble of people came in. They're all now going on to Social Security, so that means they're all going to collect benefits. Now, the big challenge with Social Security is, do we have enough people contributing? Now, when the system was built, for every person that was collecting Social Security, they had 16 people putting money in. All right. In 2037, according to the Social Security Administration, in 2037, which isn't too far off, guess what? We're only going to have 2 people contributing for every 1 person that's already collecting. So is it going to be enough for retirement? Well, what a lot of people worry about, is it going to be there at all? So I know that it's going to be there. They're not going to shut down the Social Security system. After all, there's 60 million people in the Social Security system right today. And for the forecast, according to the Social Security Administration, in 2037, it will be 83 million people collecting money. Now, where's that money going to come from? Well, the young people have a burden now. That burden's going to get dumped on them, that's for sure. Okay, I don't know what the Social Security system is going to do, but I know it's not going to shut down and take 60 million dependent people and just put them out. It's not going to happen. They'd be rioting in the streets before that's going to happen. All right, so the Social Security Administration's going to get more and more and more people. So you need to think, are they going to be able to send you enough money? What if they start cutting the benefits? What if they start saying you can't retire at 67, it's going to be at 70 or 72? You're going to have to do something. The Social Security system will change. It won't go broke. It's going to be a system that's going to have to be movable all the time. By that I mean it's going to have to be malleable. It's going to have to be adjusted. Now, the politicians aren't going to do that until it gets to be a crisis. If they started adjusting as soon as they know there's a problem, they don't do that. They wait until it's an absolute crisis. In other words, they put their head in the sand and they just avoid the situation. Well, they're not going to be able to avoid it much longer, because 2037 will be here and they'll have 83 million people expecting benefits. And what if they don't have any money to provide for them? All right, so we don't want to see a lot of people go bankrupt. We don't want to see people get below the poverty line. Incidentally, Social Security was only created so people wouldn't go below the poverty line if they weren't working. It wasn't created as a retirement program. It's to keep people from going below the par. All right, but if you keep adding people to it and keep adding benefits, well, guess what happens, all right? So when you see things like you're looking at now, people holding up signs, don't shut down Social Security, keep the promise. Well, I can tell you right now, that system will be there, but I don't know if it's going to act like it does today. I don't know if the benefits will be the same. I don't know any of that, but you need to start thinking, what are you going to do about it in the future? Now, what's causing the problem? One, we have inflation. Anytime you have inflation, too much money is being spent and everything costs more. So cars are more, gasoline is more, everything's more. Anytime that happens, you have to pay more for utilities, more for your food. Well, you're only getting a one simple check from Social Security, and once a month they're going to send that check out, and when it's gone, it's gone. So what's happening? Well, we don't have enough contributions coming in, and that's because people don't have babies like they did. Everybody used to have 4 or 5, 6 people in the family. Now they're going to be maybe 1 or 2 or none. Well, if there's no young workers coming in to pay the Social Security, how's it going to work out? Now, when it started, 16 people contributing, 1 person was getting benefits. Now in 2037, we're going to have 2 people contributing and 1 person getting benefits. I don't think that's going to work out too well, even though Social Security is taking in $2 billion a day. So they're probably going to take the retirement age and change. They're probably going to change the benefits. I actually don't know what they're going to do. But I can assure you that you're going to see a lot of changes in the Social Security system over the next few years, because it's really going to be devastating if they don't do something. All right. So the question I'm answering today is Social Security enough for your retirement? The answer is definitely no. It is not enough for your retirement. It's a supplement to it to keep you from going below the poverty level. So you're going to have to start thinking, do you already have a retirement program from your company? Are you already investing money to make sure? What is your supplement going to be? Because I can assure you, you're not going to be able to make it on the 20 or 25% of what you need from Social Security. Now, if you already planned it, you're probably in good shape. I notice when I go to the grocery store, what happens? Doesn't matter whether it's Safeway, Publix, Kroger, wherever it is, if it's during the week, there's a senior citizen putting stuff in the bag. It used to be when I went to high school, it was all high school kids in the grocery store from 3:30 in the afternoon until 7 or 9 o'clock at night. Why? That's what high school kids did. Now, all those high school kids have been pushed out, and the senior citizens are in there doing that because they're trying to supplement their Social Security. It's not enough money. So what are you doing with that? Now, have you thought about how much money you need? That's going to be up to you. I'm not an investment advisor, but my guess is whatever it costs you to live today, it's going to cost you very close to 75% of that when you retire. People say, oh, no, Ted, I want to have all these payments. Well, you might want to go add things up and see how many payments you do have. So if you can get by on less than 75%, you're going to go a long way to taking care of yourself. But my guess is you probably won't be able to live on less than 75%. All right, so if you got money in the bank, that's a good idea. For a very limited amount of money, because you're only going to make 1% at the bank at the current rates. Now, in my life, I've seen bank rates pay 12 and 14%, but right now, over the past 10 years, it's been 1, 2, or 3%. So if your money in the bank, you're earning 1, 2, or 3%, is that going to be enough money to carry you? So you're going to need something to supplement you. All right, so 30 years ago, I discovered a program that was built by the federal government, built by the state governments. And when it was built by the state governments, it was built because people weren't paying their taxes. And when I learned that I could go and buy some of those properties for pennies on the dollar, I never looked back, because I knew if I could buy them for pennies, I could sell them for a little bit more than the pennies. Didn't take too much to figure out. It wasn't a hard business. Didn't take a lot of money to get started. Didn't need 50 or 100,000. I have clients doing it today, $5,000 and $10,000 they get started. If they get more than that, they get started and do even better. All right, so I'm going to give you some suggestions. All right, what are the suggestions? They're just solutions that might help you out. Now, this solution takes place in all 3,000 counties in the United States. If people don't pay their tax, the legislature then will do something about it. They will put a notice of default on that property. Actually, have the local board of supervisors will send the treasurer out, and they'll put a notice that they're going to confiscate that property. Now, they don't show up with a pickup truck and pick it up, but I'm going to tell you, they confiscate it, they seize it, and then they resell it. They do that in 3,000 counties across the United States. And when they do that, they do it at at a public auction. Anybody can show up at that auction. All right, now, what do they sell the properties for? They sell them for the back taxes. That means you could get a property, think about this, at a 60, 70, or 80% discount, and the mortgage has been canceled. In other words, the mortgage is wiped out. So that's an alternative real estate investment. Well, it sure works for me. So I have students that buy these properties, pay 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and then resell them. And when they resell them, they try to make themselves $25,000 or $50,000. Well, how many $25,000 or $50,000 do you need to be able to make it through the whole year? So the point is, I'm just showing you a solution, an alternative real estate investment that could work for you. So if you need extra money, well, I've discovered an honorable and ethical way to do this. And when I learned about it 30 years ago, it sure was a solution for me just to make money day to day, something I can do forever because it's not a lot of work. It's clean white collar work. I don't have to go out and fix any properties or anything. All right. So the question I'm answering today is Social Security enough for retirement? It's not going to be enough for retirement. So what you can do is you can just sit tight, be the deer in the headlights, and wait for the impact. But the impact is coming because the Social Security system isn't going to be enough to supplement your income. So you want to make sure you start adapting and you don't, in the middle of the night, see a big reindeer or a big deer in the middle of the road. You don't want to see that. So you want to have a plan for yourself. All right, so this system actually works, and it's worked for decades, okay? So I'm just going to suggest you open up your mind. I'll give you a few ideas here in the next few minutes. It doesn't cost you anything to open your mind. So open it up. Let's learn a little bit about this. Your local county will be selling these properties. You can learn all about it on your computer at home. That's right. You don't have to go anywhere. You can sit right at home, and we can teach you every bit of it right on your computer. You can buy for pennies on the dollar. This works in every county. All 3,000 plus counties will sell properties for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar. All right, so here's a guy that surprised me even. All right, so he learned it. He bought this house for less than $500. Why? Because the people didn't pay the tax, and it came up for auction. Nobody else showed up at the auction. So he bought that house for he rented it for more than $600 a month. Now think about that. He spent $500 for a house. Now, is that a glamorous house in the country club? I don't think so, but it's a house that a young couple could live in, or someone that's going to school could live in, or even a small family could live in. They're willing to pay $600 a month. So he's going to get $7,000 in income this year on a $500 investment. I don't know if you'll ever get to do one of those, but if you don't get in the game, you don't get to do anything. All right, now this house, this couple, they bought the house for less than $8,000. They spent about $4,000 fixing it up. So they have about $12,000 investment, and they sold it and made themselves another $25,000. But rather than take all the money at once, they said, well, wait a minute, we're going to have to go invest it anyway, so we don't need a lump sum. So they let the buyer buy it on monthly payments. They call that a contract for sale. So for the next 10 years, they get about $450 a month. In other words, they bought a property for $12,000. They're selling it for $52,000. After a down payment, they're getting $400 plus every single month. Folks, that's a $40,000 profit on a $12,000 investment. So think about that. You want to go to the bank and make 1%? That's going to be up to you. All right, so that's all I have for today. Right below me, you can go below me, and there's a free gift for you. But I do want to remind you, as I do on the end of all videos, be sure you look at the property before you make a bid on it. If you buy a property and you haven't looked at it, there could be problems. There could have been a hurricane. There could have been a fire. It could be right next to a pig farm. There could be a lot of problems with that property. Always look at the property. Second big mistake that people make is they get into a bidding war and they start bidding and they forget and they keep bidding to win. You're not there to win. You want to buy a property at the right price so you can sell it. So that means you always need to know your exit strategy before you start bidding. Don't wait until afterwards. All right. If you know before, you'll stop bidding because you'll know that you need margin between your purchase price and the price that you're going to sell it for. Now, my name is Ted Thomas. Go below me right now and get that free gift.